to see if anybody show up. Just gonna be doing a live stream tonight. Different topics. For those who watch my videos, please hit the like and comment section. Always welcome it. Those who just watch me live, please hit the like and appreciate you stopping through and tell me where you're coming from. Um, we cover a wide range of topics. You know, I have my usual sports takes, uh, music talk, movie talk, whatever you're into. Um, it's all good. There's no limits on this live stream. Whatever floats your boat, I'm sure we'll cover it. So it's all good. Trying to see if I can find my. There you go. Got my pen handy in case somebody got something to talk about. But anyway, just coming through for a moment. Um, Depends on who shows up. If anybody show up, I'll stay on for an hour. If not, I'll cut it. Uh, Talked about the Oklahoma Supreme Court. They want to give reparations to the last remaining members of, who saw that horrific lynching. So I did that video. Talked about a lot of different things. So we'll see what comes through. The ones who want to talk about this NBA finals, it's over. And I'll be the first to admit it. I got it wrong. I thought it could go 6 games. I thought Boston had the better talent, but I thought Luka might step up or something. It didn't materialize. Kyrie played last night, but they just don't have enough horses. And, I said after game one, Boston is like a buffet and the Mavericks are like they're like a microwave dinner. You know the difference between a buffet when you got multiple choices, and then you know the difference with a microwave dinner, which is it's cool and it's home and it's fresh and it's hot, but you better get it. So that's where I see it. So we're gonna see, we're gonna see what the commentaries like. Um, that's my thoughts and my takes about that so far. And rest in peace to Jerry West. I did my video last night. I had to do that. Um, I was out yesterday and I got the messages about it, and I couldn't wait to talk about, the logo. Um, Incredible competitive player on and then as a GM and all that. You know, he was something else. Far as that go. Far as that go. Far as that go. You know. So, the things that you pick up on and what you vibe on. So, anyway. See, there's 3 people that's entered the chat, but ain't nobody broke the ice yet. So, gonna see what someone does and not. Come on now, make yourself presence felt. This ain't Pac-Man. Don't be a ghost in the machine. Come on now, say something. But lot to talk about, lot to comment on. So we're gonna see. Some people gonna have some interesting takes. Um, this Celtic team got a chance to go back to the finals a couple more years, and then once they figured out how to win, they got a chance to go back a year or 2 more. I think they can get 2 or 3 more runs out of them. Jaylen Brown stepped his game way up, and Jason Tatum is still doing his thing, but we're gonna see. But the nucleus of what Joe Mazzulla's done with their, getting Drew Holiday was probably the steal. I like Drew Holiday a lot, so, and I did do a separate video about him. So, um, they probably got themselves the best free agent pickup. Was draft, however you want to call it, trade, free agent pickup, how you want to call it. That was a steal. The difference between them and Milwaukee. And one move made the difference. And then getting Porzingis to come up was a big move, and Everybody's comfortable. People don't understand this. Even if you have alphas, you still have to have others that do their job. That's what makes you look even better. So the others, White came up big. Some people looked at him crazy when they let Marcus Smart go. Robert Williams go. But now it worked out. They made the moves they had to make to be not only the best team in the East, but the best team in the NBA, arguably. So they definitely. But when people say that easy path to the finals, well, both these teams had easy paths to the finals. Boston never had to play against anybody that was healthy and what we call together. And Dallas did win against a lot of teams that were in over their heads or injured. It was something. So both these teams, So take your pick how you want to look at it, you know. But at the end of the day, the best team is gonna win. So, and I don't see no 3-0 come. I don't see no comeback. Dallas, he can even win a half. We're gonna win a game first. So it's too bad they can't play no defense, and they can't even crack 100 points. So that's in a nutshell right there. They're getting outplayed. They're getting outplayed. And it's really not. It's really not that close. Really not. So I've seen, and this finals is starting to turn into, one of the ones that I think the NBA don't want this to happen again. So, but I don't think this will happen again. I think they'll make sure they put a kibosh on something like this happening again. I really do. I don't think they're gonna want this to happen again. Mm-mm. Think they think it to themselves. We cannot afford to have this happen again. Because it's got to be a ratings disaster. And who's got the hype in this finals, really? I mean, Luka's not quite, um, it doesn't quite translate like that. Tatum does, but Jaylen Brown doesn't. So it's the Celtics, but mm, so I don't know. I don't know. I see 5 heads here, but I still don't see nobody that has given me a response yet. It's really quiet today. So until someone says something, I'm gonna wait. See what's going on. I'll be on for another 10 minutes. If I don't get any response by the 20-minute mark, which is about another 11, I'll just call it a day. Because I got 3 heads here, but nobody has said nothing. That's amazing when people just act ghost and don't say nothing. Because it's part of Q&A. Identify who you are. Say who you are. Speak your piece. Speak your business. And have a dope conversation. So we shall see. Hmm. Down to one. Just waiting, waiting. What's happening? How you doing? Thank you. Glad somebody came through. Tell me where you're coming from. What's up? And let's Lord. Hey, Lord. Okay. You and then you coming from America? I always like to know where people are coming from. Okay, cool. Greece. Okay, cool. What's it like over there? I've never been. I've heard some people like it, some don't. So tell me your thoughts and your takes about Greece. Oh, okay. I've heard about that. Okay. Wow. So is it like summer there now? Because I don't know what the conditions are like. So it's kind of cool to find out when people come from different places. Okay. 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 Yeah, so it's probably muggy. Okay. That's a y'all, okay, so it's the European when they say 43 degrees. Okay. What's happening, Ben Howard? What's happening? Tell me where you coming from? You know where you coming from. Okay. Well, so when you say 43 degrees, yeah, I do. Thank you, Ben. Appreciate that. Yeah, I do know. Please hit the like button too. Everybody come through. If you don't mind, hit the like button and feel free to tell me where you're coming from. Yeah, I know the sound the planes make. Thank you. I know what they make with speakers. What part of England you from? Wow. How long you been flying airplanes? I haven't encountered anyone talking about dealing with airplanes in so long, so it is a fascinating thing. That's a great skill. Yeah, I know where Cornwall is. No, thanks, John Walker. I didn't even know about that. Yeah, I know where Cornwall is. Wow. Well, okay. Well, you got much exposure then. Okay. That's a great skill to have, and endurance. How far do you usually go to? Thank you, John Walker. I'm gonna have to do that one. All right. Thanks for coming through, Ben. Appreciate it. I have to write that one. Okay. Okay. Oh, okay. 7 hours. Okay. How far do you go though? Is it just in Europe? Yeah, do come back again. Appreciate you coming through, Ben, and thanks for subscribing. Fly on the flights. Okay. All right. Okay. Well, that's quite. I mean, that's very distinctive. So I was like, oh wow, I fly American plane. Okay. How far do you go to West Coast, East Coast? What's the situation? Most Asia. Okay. Yeah, well, yeah, I imagine so. Cause I mean, it's not exactly like you always have the credentials, so it's not like they're gonna sit around and let me see your passport and have a long conversation about your, you know. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, well, you have to sleep in. So latch and sim tell you what. I don't know what that means. Yeah, time zones can definitely mess you up. 6 foot. I don't know where you from, so explain. Charlene Chung. For me, it's Thriller. Thriller. Because it was it was everything Purple Rain took away from it, as far as the concept. Okay. Okay. For me, it's Thriller. I wouldn't know if I've been on the same plane as you because I haven't done a lot of flying to Asia. I've been to England, but I know, destinations, but it would be, it's pretty compelling though. All right, Charlene Chung. What made you ask about those two albums in particular though? I want to know. Stall means different things. In America, it means the bathroom. Stall also can mean that in a unit, uh, in a unit, it can mean um, it's like a remote with the gadgetry. So it's part of the component set on the airplane, like as far as the I want to say in the fuel chambers, as far as when it sets off with the not the overhead, but with the with the controls. So I've heard stall being used for that. But if I'm wrong, feel free to correct me. That's the two times I've heard stall. Okay. But I mean, when I was saying that, I was talking about like if you can, it's kind of like driving a car reverse forward. That's what I was trying to, a part of the components in the cockpit. That's what I was getting to. So like you're pushing forward, you're pushing back. So I've heard the term stall used, but for the pilot, for the captain. That's what I'm trying to say. I've heard that used. That's what that means. It's like if a car was going backwards and reverse, forward or reverse. Yeah. 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 There's techniques to it. I'm amazed and I tip my cap to you. There's a techniques to it. It ain't for the faint of heart. It's just like driving a car uh, in reverse. And there's technical ways that you have to go about getting sure that you get off the ground and, all that. It's technical. Yeah. You have to hit that runway right because that's the quickest. Mm-hmm. You do. And you got to make sure that all the lug, everything is done. It's definitely a speed technical thing. Yeah. It's an education. Yep. You feel that turbulence if you're in that bathroom. So make sure you don't eat nothing that may have you jumpy. It is a crash course. Do you know why planes don't have parachutes? Nope. I just know about the jackets if you have to jump out of. I don't know about why they don't have parachutes. So Charlene, Chung, did you check out my video when Mariah Carey saying there are no legends and it's fast food? Because I like these questions a lot. I just was wondering if you had checked out my video. Um, Potential icon. Well, you can call an icon out of anybody. I mean, you can say Taylor Swift, you can say Beyonce, you could say that. The only person that came to mind, and if he sticks to it because of the songwriting, producing, versatility, is Bruno Mars. That's true. Because that speed and trajectory when you come down is heavy. Yeah, is written. Yeah, I do find her overrated. But I agree with what she said about there's no legends in the fast food. That's true. You got to jump a certain way. Well, we can debate who's an icon. There's different levels to this. Um, when we call someone an icon, they have to represent. I mean, they can mean iconic for different reasons. Yeah, they do with the speed and depths, and depends on where you are now. It depends on where you are. It's subjective. Yeah. The difference is that when we talk about somebody that stands out, we talk about classic songs, classic albums, classic tours, dominance. Well, they do know music. You have to be. What's up? Glad you're here. Glad to see you. You have to be a good entertainer to know songs because you have to make sure that you got the right material to connect. So everybody has to do that. Yeah, it depends on where you're flying over. Yeah, I don't. feel too good about my pick, but I can live with it. And like I said, I had no interest. Yep, I see that. Welcome Ted into the chat. Thank you. Yeah, I don't. Well, I had no interest in it. No way. I told you, in either one of my teams. I like players on both teams, but I had no. I had no rooting interest. It wasn't one of my finals anyway. Boston and Dallas don't do nothing for me. You know. I don't know about that. I don't know about that. I did my video and I did a video about that, and I don't know. I'm not gonna say that. He's got every right to claim it as much, but I don't know if I'd say it's his team. Okay. One of them. That's pretty. Wow. They are. They are. I think Tatum is still the straw that stirs the glass, though, imagery wise. And I don't get this hoopla about Jaylen Brown. So I like him. We both like him. And I think he's effective and he's high as paid. But do I think that he stirs the glass? If Tatum was in that position, you'd see what I mean. Well, you had Stevie Wonder. So what I'm saying is you've had artists. You had Aretha Franklin, Marvin Gaye, Al Green. Okay. I hear you. Charlene, it's a lot of different artists that writers, songwriters, artistries, Paul Simon, Elton John, can go on. Well, thank you. No, you keep talking. I have other people involved. We're just taking on different conversations, and I will answer any questions if you ask me. So feel free. You know, I have other people doing talking, so no problem. Yeah, thanks, Ted. Tell me where you like the Mariah video. Do let me know. Give me your thoughts. There was always mixture of artists that connected. Yeah, Ray Charles changed the course. Mike Turner had a run. You know, and James Brown because she told truth. No, yeah, there's not. You know, you got people that sell a lot of records. You got people that are hot and they've been successful. But are they the same people you're going to care about 5 or 10 years from now? Let's be honest. Are we going to sit around and play Kendrick Lamar stuff like that or Drake stuff like that in 5, 10 or some of Taylor Swift or Beyonce stuff? I mean, you know, are we going to really do that? I mean, we don't even really play Mariah Carey stuff like that. Because aside from the Christmas song, most of her catalog, most people don't even really talk about unless they diehard fans. There's a difference between, you hear a classic song that everybody knows, and then when you hear a song that you're like, oh, yeah. It's just a different era. Different. Well, Ike had his impact. Stylix is one of the greats. The Dells are one of the greats. I love Blue Magic. I look the Manhattans a lot. The Ozzy Brothers are one of the greats. You know about the 5 star steps. The Miracles get love. Some of those whispers. Yeah. But Lionel Richie had a big career with and without the Commodores. Teddy Pendergrass. You know. I like all those acts mentioned. Some carry more weight than others, though. But I like them, though. But anyway, Charlene Chung, ask your question. Which one did you prefer out of Thriller and Purple Rain? Since you asked me, and I told you Thriller. And my favorite Prince album was probably the 1999 album. I used to like Sign of the Times more. I still do, but not as much as I used to. Even though he still was showing case in his versatility. Yeah. Tell me why. I'm curious. When you see Lil Michael more than Prince, what is it? And what was Prince missing for you? I'm just curious. To me, 1999 was probably his best as a producer because I thought his sound, he just had it all together at that particular time. He really connected the stars at that time for what he was trying to do. He was in the 80s. And then I lost interest in him after that. I would tell anybody to go see him live, but it wasn't the same for me after the 80s. And because to me, I think he put out a lot of stuff. I think personally, he put out too much stuff, and Michael didn't put out enough, and I don't think there was a happy medium. And it just kind of, you know, but I think he was, what got him in the 80s, underrated skill. His underrated skill was actually his ability to communicate. And what I mean by what he said, he really, we know he worked hard, but it was about his, he things he would articulate where he tried to get his point across, and he made a lot of people understand from a business standpoint of what he was dealing with. Well, Ellis, I appreciate you coming through. You gave me quite the crash course, no pun intended. Yeah. Yeah, we haven't really talked about Prince a lot on here. His birthday was last Friday. Purple Rain turns 40 in the theaters in a couple of weeks. It's hard to believe when I say that. It seems just like yesterday. Sometimes when you have seen some icon moments or, acts and things like that, it's just like it's a trip when you think about it. And that was a different day, different time. That was an era when you could be mysterious too. Yeah, Prince was he was always trying to he came across somewhat like showboating. I mean, they both had ego, but he really sometimes he would exaggerate certain things. And I think, you know, um sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. Now, Prince was always kind of hit and miss with me with certain things he would do. I think Michael Jackson, because he came from the school of what he did, it was like get to the point and hit those hits and hit those marks. Prince was trying to, he stretched himself into a lot of different things. And sometimes, like I said, some of it worked, some of it didn't. It just depends. Some of it was the kind of band he got, some of it was the kind of situation he was in, you know. Actually, the funny thing about it, one time I watched Purple Rain and I did think of it like the movie Spinal Tap. So you ever seen Spinal Tap? The exaggeration was hilarious. And he did do things that were like that. But he was a strong showman. I mean, he had his moments. He could perform. Yeah, at the time. It was an incredible time to have our artists that were bringing out the best in each other going at it, and Ted, if you still around and out there, this was a lot more compatible and comparable than saying Jordan and LeBron. I'm gonna tell you that. But guys were bringing out the best in each other. It's like Bird and Magic. but they also were big because they crossed over too. That's one of the big things about them too, because they represent the racial aspects of the what's going on. You'd rather have people say Prince is better than Michael than Chris Brown. I don't know nobody in their right mind that would say that Chris Brown, Usher, Beyonce, Drake, and Trey Songz are better than Michael Jackson. And I'm thankfully I haven't been around them. I've heard a couple of people say about Chris Brown dancing or Usher dancing, but I've never heard them five mention it. And no, I wouldn't. No, no. And them five combined ain't seeing no off the wall or Thriller album. So combined, you could take their catalogs combined, and they're not seeing those two records. Trey Songz is a broke R. Kelly. He's a junior whop R. Kelly, and his dating bout came and gone. Drake got all them streams and he's big, but most people don't really put his songs. They're not carrying that kind of weight. Well, feel sorry for the crew. You feel like he felt. That's a good topic. Let's talk about him because I think it was who was it that was talking? Oh, it was Reggie Wright, who I watched sometime, and he said you can't compare Chris Brown to Puffy, and I said the heck you can't. I said that thing with Rihanna is the reason why he didn't keep his commercial appeal. I think the young ones that you mentioned, Charlene, is because their parents didn't educate them. And it's kind of hard for them to go back and acknowledge how racist radio was in the 80s until Thriller blew up and all that. Because these acts come along today, and why it's still racist out here, they don't have the MTVs or they're in a more digital where they get to see these acts. It was a big freaking deal when Michael Jackson videos was on TV because they weren't putting a lot of black folks on him. Now, Charlene, I likes you a whole lot. I likes you. That's what I be kept trying to tell people. You can put what you want to do for love, and no one, and not most of them. That's a song. That's why I keep telling folks. You know your stuff when you said that. That's true. Ain't none of them got that. Look, Chris Brown got about 5 songs I like. Usher probably got like maybe close to an album that I like. Beyonce got some songs. Drake 2 or 3 songs, and Trey Songz about 2 songs. But ain't none of them hit you with a Bobby Caldwell thing. Mm. Now Chris Brown's situation is more commercialized because of you know. But I also think his problem is that he just ain't never learned how to sing. His wheels is on point. It's just his voice is just is shot. You know, he has some stuff that I like, and he is funny on some stuff, but they be lying to people. I watch these people talk about how great he is. I'm like, really? I mean, the Chris Brown Usher thing, and because Beyonce got younger fans. The Drake things, because he streamed a lot. I have never heard anyone say Trey Songz over no Michael Jackson. Trey Songz gets lumped with R. Kelly, and he's not. He ain't that memorable. He ain't that memorable. He had a nice voice. I like when he first came out. To be great, you gotta actually enhance what you got. I don't think he ever worked on his voice. I don't think his chops ran. His public life, but if you got the songs and the material, he kept a career going and he had crossover potential, but I don't know. I think he's a good entertainer. I'm not gonna say great. I don't think he's more entertaining than Usher. And I always looked at Usher as a junior whopper Michael Jackson too. A lot of them do that. No, you don't. But you gotta have great songs. See, Charlene is. I'll tell you the like Quincy Jones said it best, and I don't always agree with everything Quincy Jones says, but he said this: it's the song, it's the song. If you got the songs, because there's not a lot that separates. Okay, tell me how is his own worst enemy? I want to hear why you say that. Because I don't think that he's his own worst enemy. I just don't think he's ever worked on his talent. I just don't think his chops is on point. Because to be your own worst enemy means that you pulled a Jay Cutler when you could have been better. I have not felt that he could have been better than what he was. Or you pull a Zion Williamson because you eat yourself out of out of shape. I never gone like, oh, Chris Brown was dynamic. When Zion's shoe fell off when in college and you looked at him and you saw him move for the Pelicans last year against the Lakers and you thought, okay, I've never had that kind of Chris Brown moment. I thought his voice was decent. His dancing is on point. Choreography and movies is okay. Commercials, he's productive. I give him that. But I've never been wooed by his artistry. It's not like I'll give you an example. Have you ever heard Dream On by Aerosmith? And the way Steven Tyler sang before all the drugs took over? That's what I mean. Yeah, I miss those too. Um, well, Barry Gordy was messing with Donna Ross too. And it ain't always about the best voice. It's about there's a lot of politics in the industry. Sometimes about who you with, the receipts. But you gotta have the songs. There's a lot of politic involved. Diana got around, but Diana also had that star power. And she had that stylist thing. And she could bring it. It's not always about who's the best. That's a true story. People used to actually have concepts and, they worked on their craft. That's what I was saying. You don't have that no more. These acts just throw anything out and it's like playing darts in the dark. And if you throw it enough, something will stick to the board. But it's not like you're getting what I call the full course meal. But it's done like that on purpose because, you know. And plus, I think the industry thinks people are stupid too. So they think the buying public will be gullible. Well, Nina Simone had great songs. Natalie Cole had great songs. Donna Ross had great material. Supreme stuff was greater. And Carly Simon. So, they held their own, you know. But you gotta have the material. If you ain't got the songs, you're just a dime a dozen. I miss Jodeci when they were like that. They were some singing brothers. They just kind of got, and then they went and did the Hallmark stuff when they went solo. So I remember when they were big. You know, Devontae was cool. Yeah, I was a '90s R&B lover. That's I don't know what album you didn't like. I bought the first three. I liked the first one the best. I know it ain't popular to say, but I'm gonna say it anyway. R. Kelly was the best artist of the '90s in R&B. I don't care what nobody says. Up until the mid '00s, he was bringing it as a songwriter, producer, arranger, and I got to give it to him musically. So, and the whole thing with the Isley Brothers, and you know, now I didn't like that, man. That was like a Hallmark album. I sat there and listened to it, and it went over big. They were on the Life soundtrack because he wrote Life. Ironically, he wrote that for the Life soundtrack. Them boys were some singing cats, though. I like their voices. They just didn't have the soulful stuff that I felt they should have married. Yeah, that mess sounded like some Hall and Mariah Carey, man. That's what I thought. But the 70s for me easily, yes. And there's no argument there. Fifth Dimension in the 60s. Yeah, my parents and them dug. And I like them songs. Aquarius. I loved all that. I liked all that. Yeah, the 70s will always be the greatest era as far as I'm concerned, as far as R&B goes. You had to bring it. You had to bring it. I can't emphasize that enough. It's like when Ted and I, we were talking about basketball, we talk about sports. People don't understand. You had to bring it. When I said you had to bring it, I mean there were tears to this. That was in all phases. Music, sports, movies, TV. Competition was deep. And nowadays, third tier acts carry as much weight as first tier because there's no discrepancy with the doobies. His hooker work and his background vocals are what because his distinctive tone, but his solo career, I because he did the Motown records and I wasn't feeling that. His Keep Forgetting's a great song and all that, but and I like the Running Skid, the Sweet Freedom, I like that. Yeah, all that. Earth, Wind, Slide. That's some of the greatest acts right there. The Gap came out in the late 70s. Oh yeah, Chicago was better. The Doobies without Michael McDonald were kind of like a hippie group, and they were decent. They were decent. They were California hippie, but when they got Michael McDonald, they went another. Oh yeah, oh yeah. When you talking like Jackie Wilson, when you talking Johnny Mathis, Sam Cooke, crooners, all that, like all that stuff. Bobby Rydell, all that. Yeah. Well, no Richard. Yeah. Chuck Berry, Fats Domino, The Moon Glows, The Domingo. Yeah, all that, all that harmony. Do what was incredible. Mm. Yep. So all that comes into play. Yeah. Well, Jennifer Holliday, funny you mention it. She's my cousin. My mother's side, double related out of Houston. She doesn't get that much love though. She doesn't get that much love. Jennifer Hudson took all the thunder because she did, and I'm telling you, and she blew up with it. Jennifer Holliday never got that. She had a record out, but not like that. Betty Wright was the truth. Like Shirley Murdoch, precursor to Kelly Price. And I love Stacey Lasso, one of my favorite teenage female singers ever. Hmm. I don't think R&B is not dead. Um, it's just that with everything, is that it's done as a means to minimize it from the technology perspective. It's never dead. You can always go back. And I don't look at Alicia Keys as saving nothing. Well, they said the same thing in the 80s. I don't look at Alicia Keys trying to say how's she trying to save it. I don't feel that she's that deep. She actually is one of the problems with it because she's one of those artists that a lot of her songs were sample riffs and loops, and she came along with it. So she's not exactly, she was from the Clive Davis machine. So there's not a lot of originality with her. They've been doing it with the computers. It's nothing new. Nothing new. 80s was beats driven music as well. In fact, if you listen to stuff that Prince did, that Michael Jackson did, that Rick James did, that Roger Troutman and Zapp and them did, you hear what I'm talking about. It's nothing different. It's just that it's done to more the technology. Yeah, love Zapp and Roger. Well, that was a classic song. That was phew, that's a scary thought. But Roger could actually play though. Yeah, love Zapp. Anything out of Ohio, the funk, that's what woke up Ted. The funk capital of the world. Well, we had that discussion about him, remember? Missoula's out coaching him. Joe Missoula's out coaching him. They can't even crack 100 points. So the series should be over Friday night. Can't crack 100. You got two guys who by themselves can put up 70 points. You can't crack 100. You're getting out coached. He can't play defense, and he's looking for the refs to bail him out. And he starts acting and pouting and mouthing. Now, what he's got going for him is he's got a runner-up finals appearance. But I'm gonna tell you something. If he don't do nothing 2 or 3 years after this year, you're gonna call him Fisher Price of Euro superstars because he too good to just be a runner-up. Some people, that's a great accomplishment to have made the show and not win. He too good and too much hype for him if he don't win. That's a fact. And before people start coming to me about him being as great as Dirk and all that, dug all those acts. Rick James was one of the most underrated at the time, of course, with Prince and Ready for the World. Yeah, look all them. Cars had some cool sounds. Love the synth wave of Hot Human League, all that. I don't know if it'll hurt him. It'll hurt him, but it can't hurt him in the sense that he did get to a finals. He did get to a finals without LeBron, without KD. So he can say he won. Though he didn't win, he didn't say he shut up a lot of the haters. Let's say that. Can we agree to that? Because he is in the finals. And actually, if you want my honest opinion, Kyrie carries weight again. Meaning if he wanted to bounce from Dallas, somebody would make it happen now, if that's what you're asking. It puts him in a it puts him as a Celtic that won, but do you really gonna sit here and say he's as great as Paul Pierce or Larry Bird or Bill Russell or Havlicek or Dave Cowens and those guys? No, no. He's better than Cornbread Maxwell, but he ain't in the top with the main Boston Cats. I mean, he has to win a couple. If they win two or three, then that's a different argument. But one ring ain't gonna make him propel. They just had a really solid, strong team, which I will give them that. Doesn't really do not because when I ask you about him right now, is he better than Jokic? Is he better than Luca? Is he better than Shea? Is he better than Embiid? Is he better than Giannis? That's five guys right there. And then Ant Edwards is coming on. But I can name you five guys off the top. He ain't better than with a ring. No one's gonna sit up and talk about Jason Tatum uh, you know, in the conversation with those guys. But if he's got 2 or 3 rings, that might be a different story. But he has to play better in the postseason too. So I don't know. The truth is Tatum and Brown cancel each other out. After Sherry Richardson. Call Sherry Richardson a complainer. Make them explain that to me because I haven't seen the story. Oh. Oh, she didn't. Oh, okay. And so Shannon called her a complainer. I had heard something, but I didn't get the full gist of it. Hmm. I don't know. Yeah, I saw that early in the year. I seen most of Cat's interviews, and I'm not the biggest Cat fan, but I understood why it took off. I got the popularity of it, even though part of me, I don't think he's underrated. See, where is Jay Will and the man who always think that we always agree? I don't think he's underrated at all. I don't really find him that funny, to be honest with you. I think he has some quotes, but I don't find him that funny. I think that he has a point. Well, I don't know about it, but well, you know, that ain't gonna happen. That ain't. I'm not laughing at you, but I'm laughing. That ain't gonna happen. Why you think that's not gonna happen? Why would I say emphatically when you put them names up that it won't happen? He did, and then he turned around and said he didn't. So did you see his Chronicle? Was it 2010? It's not that they too black. It's just that they tap into something that he don't want to talk to. Adu Rauf has a. They both have white parent. Well, one parent, but Adu Rauf is too spiritually inclined, and Kaepernick is not corporately bought like that. He got bought. He got paid up, but no, they won't talk that shucky talk. Shannon wants you to talk that shucky talk, if you know what I mean. You got to shuck and jive. That's why I ain't gonna have him on there. Nobody dignified. He said one year he said about Michael, then he turned his story after Michael got assassinated. So he was flipped it flop with Michael. Now, you know who I'd want to see on his show. He ain't gonna have them on either. He ain't gonna have Jaguar Wright, and he ain't gonna have Orlando Brown. That's who I'd like to see on, cause his show is for entertainment purposes. It's not that deep. It's not that deep. Now, when you got Ray J on your show, did you see this? He got Ray J on his show talking about the tapes. Ray J's mess is so bad right now. His own sister ain't messing with him. Well, he changed his tune about Michael a little bit. But what I have a problem with him is, I'm gonna address this since you asked. I'm gonna address it. He went after comedians and people who've been in the business 20, 30 years. You don't do that. I'm gonna tell you why you don't do that. Steve Harvey had nothing to do with Cat's career. Cedric the Entertainer had nothing to really do with his career. D.L. Hughley didn't have anything to do with his career. Dave Chappelle didn't have anything to do with his career. Martin Lawrence wouldn't have anything to do with his career. Chris Rock would neither. Um, I don't know. I'm not gonna touch that. I'm not gonna touch that. If they did, they did. D-Wade was a great player, and that's all I will say about that, about him. His personal choices, again, as I always tell you, and I'm consistent. I don't, I separate the two. I don't know. I've heard some things, but you know. Well, he really flip flops on Michael. Monique did change. But see, this is the thing. They got the green light to talk about him because the industry plantation wants it like that. You're not going to get too many of them that's going to come out and say what he did and what he represented because that would be going against the status quo. They couldn't stand Michael Jackson because he bought and owned his masters. And no, this is no knock on Prince, but everything Prince talked about, Michael Jackson actually did. Plus, he owned the copyrights of the Beatles and others. He was a stakeholder in a record company. I don't think people understand what that means. You weren't just somebody that was just there with your masters or publishing. You had a stake in the company. Yeah, they had to kill off a Negro who has a stake in Sony Music. Do you understand how many hundreds of millions that is? And when you go to, it is very sad. I did a video about him. I seen some people talking some mess about his extramarital situation, him and Mike Fratello sharing a woman or something, all like that. I didn't think that was the time and place, but that was in his book or something that went down. And I know why he got ran out with the Lakers. I know the whole thing with Phil and the other stuff, you know. But there's a time and a place, he was one of the most important players, GMs, etc. Groundbreaking, if you will. He told Shaq, he went to Orlando and said, y'all need to get out this redneck town and come out to LA, basically. Got him up out of there. Jerry was from West Virginia, so being rural and white and country and backwards, but that guy did something. And I did my video. I told the elephant in the room. I said, because Larry Bird aside, that was the next baddest white boy ever. NBA. Ever. But what did he say that was disworthy? What did he say? And you're not gonna get no white on white diss. I'm gonna tell you why that won't happen. But what did he say? And I'll tell you why that won't happen, Ted. I'll tell you why it won't happen. I think it's because he was probably more enamored with Elgin Baylor or Wilt Chamberlain, or maybe Oscar Robertson. And I think that going to 9 finals and winning one, and he probably may have looked at him as being a little bit romanticized. I mean, compared to what Larry Bird did or Rick Barry. But, West was a bad player. I mean, he's in my top 25 ever. You can make the case anywhere from 11 to 22. It depends on what your criteria is. He was bad. You could even make the case he's top 10. He was a bad dude. But he turned a lot of people off too. Yeah, he did. Well, now, see, I'm not gonna take no shots on Puffy. Let me tell you something. They all rip off everybody. Puffy don't own nothing. He didn't own James Brown's publishing. He had a chance to get it. He didn't. He didn't own it. He had a lot of riches. He gave that back to him. Elvis had an impact, but he is overrated. But he had an impact. I'm not gonna say he didn't have an impact because he could sing gospel and country. He had some versatility, but he was, yeah, he was basically a white version of Jackie Wilson. But they loved him though. I mean, he had respect from folks. So it's a Dutchy subject. Puffy did what the industry does, especially with hip hop, because hip hop is seen as dummy fast food music. He worked for Clive Davis. And he did what they all do. It's just that they're putting it on him. No, they wasn't fully confirmed. It wasn't fully confirmed. But he had, let's just say it was divisive. There's a touchy situation with that because there was some stuff that loaned itself to that. But on his personal side, I never got all of the gist out of it. I don't think he'd have been happy about Michael Jackson being his son-in-law. Now, I don't know. I mean, well, Jerry West went on to the Clippers, but there was a bad falling out, though. There was a bad falling out. So, but the Lakers would be ashamed of themselves if they don't acknowledge that man. Too much impact. Too much impact. Elvis had some songs that I like. And Otis Blackwell was a black man who wrote a lot of his songs. There's some things I like that he did. And he was entertaining and good for his era. He did. So, Charlene, let me tell you a story. Good call about that, Ted, because he sure did. They all do it. They all do it. You don't understand how the music industry works? People would say the same thing about Ellie and Babyface with the whole thing with Tony Braxton TLC being broke. What's different? I can give you instances where that's common. Suge Knight owned the publishing in Death Row. He owns Snoop's publishing. You know, there's money that when they want to make someone out to be the bad guy, the scapegoat, then they put this out there. He did what they all do. He just window dressing. He doesn't have it like that. Because if he's got that, then what does Clive Davis got? You understand where I'm going with this? It's a pyramid to this. And I'm not condoning Puffy because Puffy was a fraud as an artist, as a writer, as a producer, as a performer. However, he does what the industry does and what they tell him. Why you think if you watch my videos, I call it the music industry plantation? Not really, because he's more of an artist than Puffy. And I don't even care for Drake like that, but he's more of an artist than Puffy is because even if he has ghosts, he's more credible as an entertainer. He did have a TV career. Puffy was in the mail room. I still remember Nail It to the Wall video with Stacey Lattisaw. He was an extra with Andre Harrell. He had no, he had no skills like that. Well, I'm gonna say this: he whipped her behind, and I don't condone that. And he's been into a whole lot of shady play. Everybody knew about the Puffy parties. I mean, I knew that, and I wasn't even nowhere near LA or Miami. However, it's because he spoke out against that alcohol and called them racist. And then white folks are about ready to clean their hands with him. And Charlene Chung, I don't know if you're white or not. I don't want to offend you if you are, but one thing Ted will tell you, I don't be vulgar. I don't be disrespectful, but I do speak out on race. Any white folks, I'm going to say it, when they got no use for you, they ostracize you, act like they don't know you. They put all your business out there, and they gonna make him like he's the worst thing, even though they've been sitting on this. Like Rolling Stone magazine got all these documents, all these articles. People been knew about Puffy. Industry covers because if there's money to be made, you shut up and you put your head in the corner, you look the other way. And now they ain't got no use for him. Now they're gonna air out his dirty laundry. So it comes off like he is being set up for something that, you know, okay. Okay. Well, I'm just saying, bless your soul. I had an aunt who lived in Malcolm X Boulevard there. Yeah, I did a video about that. But what she wants to punch him about is something she should have been on his behind about years ago because he took the publishing. Did she not watch that lame movie, Notorious? And in that scene when they got ready to do the second album and Puffy got a check from Arista and he got 40 million and Biggie got 5 million. He said, I got a check for 40 and you got one for 5. Did that not seem odd? Did that not seem odd? Yes, he was financing, putting stuff together, but they weren't in no partnership. He had loans and he had credit from Clive Davis for $80 million to start Bad Boy. And at the time, you could sample all you could eat and make that money back. And that's what they did. So when you're up there sampling Juicy Fruit and you're sampling all these songs, somebody got to pay it. It's money on top of money. And videos cost, clothing cost, the sets cost, all that cost. So all those clothes on layaway, all that stuff. He So he's a Harlem, he's a New York, he's a nerd. Yeah, you could say that because he became actually when he became Diddy and all Dad and all that stuff, he shuffled for everybody. He shuffled. But his dad was in the streets. He took on those characteristics. But not a likable cat, not a grinner. It's a different type of shuffle too. Yeah, I like them too, me. But I know Biggie didn't want to do Juicy. But see, Puffy got the bag. I won't know. Well, I won't say bucking. I wouldn't say that, but I would watch your behind around Quincy though. I'd say that. I'd say you know, eh, something's off with him now. He was in that Been Around the World video with Puffy too at the beginning. Pay Uncle Q. Quincy always is like, I'm not worried about Drake because Drake is industry. He do what they tell him to do. I think the whole beef with him and Kendrick is hokey. It's all get out. I'm not buying it. I never got the hype with him, but yeah, You, He, and Me was a better track, but Juicy Fruit kind of like fired on. Well, he was marking his culture in part. I don't know if you put on blackface and you are like that, then there's some self hate going as far as I'm concerned. It's kind of like Tiger Woods telling black jokes. Cats are trying to explore the part of them that gets attention, but they don't really understand the part of them to understand the attention, if you know what I mean. So I think that he was in a very secluded area. And I think that he, when you're trying to understand race and you get called things, it can mess you up. Yeah, well, he was looking down because of the sound and the style because he did look like Rick James. I'm like he probably looking at him like, it doesn't really speak to him, you know. And he didn't grow up on that style of music per se, even though his age was. Everybody who grew up at a certain age doesn't necessarily mean that they understood that style of music because hip hop was emerging. I mean, when Biggie was a kid, Run DMC was bigger than M2 Man. Let that sink in. Curtis Blow was big too. So a lot of that stuff was big. So it wasn't like, you know. So, but life do be funny like that though. Yeah, I heard about that. Mo- Marcus, I remember him. They were raunchy and raw for their day and time. They were big. Think about it. Bill Walton, Jerry West gone, so that'll be another one unless you include OJ. Three big icons. Three big in Southern California too, if you think about it. Hmm. Um. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. I can't even argue that. I can't even argue that if I think about it, because even though Kendrick is big, he's not big like that. And him and Drake combined ain't got the DMC pull. I know the streams will tell me different, but they weren't bigger than DMC. DMC had clothes. I still see some people walking on the streets with Run DMC t-shirts on. I have yet to see somebody with a Kendrick Lamar shirt on yet, or a Drake shirt. Just saying. That's true. That's true. I think people get caught taking it for granted because it doesn't do a good job with these shows with educating people. People uh don't really, and we talk about it as far as black goes. White folks always usually stay acknowledging their greats in some form of capacity. We're the ones who don't. We take it for granted. But I dug both those guys though. Bill Walton was something else for his time. Just the injuries caught him and cluttered him. Jay was too. Yeah. Well, they didn't spend their time being so white, and they got to explain what they're trying to do. But to me, the day when they have more black GMs or ownership, that's when I'm looking impressed. I'm not impressed with this because this just gives them another safe option to say, well, we threw a little bit there. They haven't thrown the real bone yet. Let's remember those great black players that came over from the Negro Leagues also were part of teams that had ownership. Okay? General managers, managers. And MLB stands for much later, brother. That's my acronym. So, yeah. Well, Bud Silic is no different than Bowie Kuhn. Bowie Kuhn didn't even come out for Hank Aaron tying Babe Ruth. So they all bigots as far as I'm concerned. Bud Selick is full of it because he wants to act funny talking about Barry Bonds. He was friends with Hank Aaron, but so that's all I got to say about that. It's pretty ugly. He's 95. I think that's what they said. Yeah. They had some kind of celebration for him. I said something. Yeah, I never forget a moment to acknowledge Willie Mays. He was a complete player, and it's important that it's important that gets acknowledged. So I never forget Willie. Excuse me. Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, you could say that. Yeah, because that's one time Quincy Jones wasn't talking crazy because he came out and asked him was he how he ranks as a producer, and he said this guy doesn't know about charts. Quincy was giving out a chart playing. He's not. Mm. She didn't ruin him. He was already ruined. He just used her as a jump off to try to appeal to a different segment. He was already crazy. He already was problematic. I mean, that Kardashian curse has a play, but he was already cray cray. He's a decent beat maker who I did like his bongo beats. I give him that. And he has some songs I like, but I heard about that. Well, she gotta do what she gotta do. It's either that or sell 150 on OnlyFans, and I don't think anyone's breaking their neck to see Candace Owens on there. So you tell me. He wanted to be like them, not be like them. Oh, him and Kim, I get that part. But he already in a way did match him. I mean, he's gotten a lot of awards, he gets a lot of attention. And the thing about it is this, he didn't need Kim because he pretty big. I mean, he's got his shoes. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That goes without saying. Some people don't get the memo though. Some don't get the memo. They want to be like Bobby and Whitney as far as black star power, as far as that the dominance of best of both worlds. The problem is that to a lot of people, Jay-Z is Mr. Beyonce. And they don't really check his work like that. You can come back. The problem that she faces, what is she gonna offer? She can come back. Black folks don't, they do bring you back. It's just you gotta, come with something of substance. Well, they should have been bigger than Bobby and Whitney with the star power. But Jay Z is respected, but he ain't as intriguing as Bobby. Beyonce's big, but she doesn't hit you like Whitney. And to be honest with you, Jay Z comes off more like a pimp to Beyonce than anything. Whitney and Bobby's way more credible, so that's another problem too. Yeah, we'll see what Candace do. Can you dance? Somebody'll take her back. Yeah, well, you know how I felt about him. What they talking about, we passed kneeling. And the story goes, I don't know if you heard or not, Rihanna was, with the baby. And he basically gave her an ultimatum: get your butt up there on that stage and perform. So I heard something along those lines. It might be coming out soon. Probably is. Probably is. I don't know. Oh, he gonna get the bag, and then what's gonna happen is that he's gonna air out a tell-all book about her, and then she's gonna be jacked because she doesn't really have anything to fall back on. And Candace gonna be just like Billy. What's his name? The one that married the white dude. The one that was supposed to be playing James Baldwin. Gonna be in the same boat as him. They do. Well, she was acting coy about the relationship at first, but then they got together and it got bigger. Yeah, he gonna get the bag. That's what it comes down to. He'll use it to his advantage. Unless you suck. There are some exceptions. There are some exceptions, but usually they do. But I don't pay her a lot of mind, though. When you gotta go out of your way to hate to get some pseudo acceptance, you're pretty pathetic. So maybe together he thinks that. I don't know. She's so it's a manipulative intelligence because she came with such a radical movement to fit in, and then she's trying to flip it, and then she's trying to compartmentalize. You can't do that racially. You can't do that. It is right. You can't really compartmentalize that. If you try to compartmentalize that, you come across like you schizophrenic. That's the problem. Now, in her intelligence, I have never really heard her really display anything about the hatred that she had to go through, how she came to where she was, because she did experience racial discrimination. Now I understand black folks can be mean on your looks, your imagery, and that is some truth. But she went out of her way. She went out of her way from a political situation where it's like you held your ankles extra. And now that they done with you and they don't see no money on you, because there's really no money to be made with her. She's not an interesting, it's like Omarosa. They're not marketable. They know. That's all true. And she was a never was. And she was doing hood movies. And if your butt couldn't sleep and had insomnia about 2 or 3 in the morning, Stacey Dash movies be there to look right at you. Doing Master P theater movies. No one, I mean, really. And I'm gonna take you seriously that you just don't like black folks, but yet you do all the hood movies I can imagine. You got hood munchies. Come on now. Not believable. See, and Charlene, I'll tell you another. Agree. I'll give you a better example. Uh, Alan Keyes, Dr. Ben Carson's is a great example of this. Intelligent in the medical field. However, his intellectual understanding about being black and as a man and everything he does is dumb and embarrassing. So I have a hard time when people say, "Oh, they're intelligent," but but if they are, they don't. Black folks go out their way to be conservative, have to make it like an agenda to dump down on what we've been through. And you shouldn't have to do that. You should be able to stand on your merits and give an intellectual reason why you want to be black and conservative. Not to say that y'all, some come and say y'all ignorant, y'all hateful, y'all spiteful, y'all don't do nothing. You just climb all that. So yeah, he was. I got his book. I bought W.D. Du Bois. And I read Booker T. Washington too. There was black conservatives, there was black intellectuals. Tyreek. I like Tyreek. I check him out. I checked out that Dr. Umar Johnson interview about Eminem and Beyonce because it inspired me to do my video. I check these cats out. So it's important that you read up on people and ask questions. But a lot of them, like I said, it's politics involved. Yeah, I saw it. I saw it. And it inspired me to do my video because I did a video about her record, about when they say about how polarizing she is. And I thought, well, 3 and 13, you ain't that polarizing. I'm like, yeah, I mean, your turnovers, your one trick pony, and, it's just not that good. Well, what I did, I don't know if you see my video, but this is the thing. I can't sway you about Eminem. I'm not going to. I'm not big on Eminem, but I mean, I'll give him credit. You know, I he's been successful, been the most important white rapper. What I agree with him on was that about Eminem and Beyonce is this. He got an invite and get to surround himself with black folks and hip hop and everything with Dr. Dre, etc. And no one said nothing. Beyonce does country, which is an offshoot of R&B music and the blues. And how the heck can you call yourself a country artist and have it all white when you live in America with all these black folks? How do you have a genre of music labeled country when it's all white, when that's an offshoot of black music? Make it make sense to me, please. So why is all the outrage when Beyonce does something that is part of the culture and she catches the heat she catches, but Eminem doesn't? That's black and white right there. So that's where I was coming from. No, but let me say this to you. What is country music? Because how do white people get to label a style of music that is black in nature and an offshoot of blues and R&B? It's R&B out of tune, if you must know. If you don't know, I'm going to tell you. You put a kick drum in it and you actually tune your instruments the right way. Not this, where we going, why, woo. I'm talking about where we going, why, woo. See, the tone, and it got watered down. Put it to you like this in English, if you go back with music. If you go back to Robert Johnson, Hank Williams Sr., blues is the same bass. You know, I don't think she wants to do. Yeah, it's about making a statement because she wanted to make a statement because she felt Taylor Swift was getting too much doing country and pop. What is the problem with that? What's the problem with that? Taylor Swift is a hybrid. Beyonce's a hybrid. He catches heat. Everybody don't love him now. Ice was a different thing. Ice was a better entertainer, dancer. But M catches heat because of his remarks, and you know, the only thing I will give him is this: he stays under Dre. He keeps his mouth pretty much low key to where he, that. But you know, he is a guest in a black form dominant form of music. He is a guest, and he'd be the first to tell you that. And with everything that black folks create, they find a way to whitewash it, be it jazz, be it blues, be it country. I can go down the line. So that's why some of the disdain is for him. And he has bars and he's funny, got some wit, but he ain't the best rapper. Well, see, the thing about it is what they're trying to whitewash women's basketball about is because, again, somebody black does something and somebody white comes along, they're like, oh, so they want to make her like a female version of Steph Curry. And that's what they're hoping. And she's got the media hype behind her. Well, so does Al Sharpton. A lot of people got churches. That doesn't mean that they practice what's supposed to be preached in them now, does it? I'm just saying that where I was saying where I came to her defense. I'd personally let you know a story, Charlene. I don't keep I listen to her records like I do Eminem's, but neither one of them moved me. Yeah, she gave me Lonnie Anderson, the WKRP in Cincinnati vibes, Farrah Fawcett. She was trying to. They people that do. There are people that do. Well, they crazy. I'll say that. The Beehive ain't no joke. I got stung a few times by some stuff I see. So, but well, it's subjective. Mariah vocally, I think Mariah's got some better songs. They two different types of artists. See, Mariah's case, Mariah came by as a Junior Whopper version of Whitney, and well, because I think it was when Jay Z said that stupid mess about Michael Jackson never played Coachella, and I said no, because he was playing Motown tour. I said he played bigger stages. That's why, idiot. And the Beehive came after me because I said that, and I got stung. That had to do with the Hive. I didn't dealt with people's stands, if you must know. I've dealt with he's industry. You do know he snitched for the mafia, right, Charlene? Mariah writes the stuff. Yeah, they're worse. I had to deal with them. I didn't deal with different stanneries. Al don't even practice no real church, and he just be in the industry. Whatever. If I see Crumps, Ben Crumps, every time Crumps got something, Al's always where the camera's at. Just like Jesse Jackson. They are some poverty pimp pushing preachers, okay? Don't take them serious at all. She's trying to be the love child of Whitney Houston and Michael Jackson. That's what she longs to be. It ain't there. I like Mariah more than Beyonce, but Mariah ain't really ever moved me enough. But I like her more because she had to come up in an era where you had to sing and do all that stuff. She didn't work with Jay Z or Puffy on them until like she was almost a decade in her career. Beyonce had to incorporate that to sell her thing difference. Would have been different if Beyonce had some songs now. Then we may have a different story. Oh, I missed Sorry Ted when I didn't see the BRAD. I thought you had Brandy. I was getting ready to say Brandy fans are toxic too, because I had to deal with the Brandy ones talking about she's the vocal Bible, and I'm like, what? Ray J sister? Oh yeah, yeah. Well, that's true about football. Yeah. Well, he did. He brought that up. I mean, and I'm gonna say this. The only thing I'm gonna say in his defense, she's been the most important black pop crossover artist of the last 20 years. That's what she's got going for her. I can't dispute that. She's been the most important black pop crossover artist the last 20 years. Because you can't find me another black pop crossover artist that's matched her impact. You can't. We can debate who's better, but when you talking about the crossover, the impact, she's been that one. That. But when we get into logic about the standards Michael Jackson set as an artist, from head to toe impact, influence, Beyonce be the first to tell you she wouldn't be where she is without that man. So I'm not trying to hear all that. But she's got some diehards and they grew up watching that. There's too many. Obviously, I'll tell you off the top of the dome that Billie Jean will always be arguably my all-time favorite song, just in general. But then there's "Don't Stop to Get Enough." You got "Man in the Mirror." You go back to "I Want to Be Where You Are." You got to Be There." I go all over the rock with you. I go over the map with Human Nature. There's a lot. Yeah, a lot. He's the most dominant artist of my lifetime. He set a standard, black or white. Black and white, he was winning awards, but competing against himself, breaking down doors, barriers, racist radio, the industry, the video, the whole nine. To have lived through his dominance was like mind blowing because he was everywhere and everything. Yeah, well, they talk like crackheads. They want to say he could dance. Yeah, but he was never he doesn't have the songs and catalog that people care about. It's you know, it's not there. The last closest voice that moved me to Michael level was Tevin Campbell. No, he has success crossover because he's more pop. He's got pop. But the problem is he doesn't have the chops. You know, voice don't really hit like that. He got catchy stuff. I mean, he catchy stuff with Jordan Sparks. I did love that Fine Like China, and he has catchy stuff. He worked with everybody. He all came out with a catchy stuff. He's been around 20 years. So come on now. It's not like he's some spring chicken. He's been doing it for 2 decades. It's just that the goods was never there. Not like that. Not like that. If he had the goods, I would tell you. I'm not a hater like that. Even people I'm not big on, I'm not going to sit there and hate. I got to give it up. I like Bruno a lot because I think as an artist, but I don't think he has the drive to keep putting it out there like that. Because for crying out loud, the man hasn't put out a solo album in 8 years. Silk Sonic was a group project, so that obviously tells me he ain't in no hurry, and he really doesn't have to. Nowadays, if you come out 5 or 6 albums and you cover like 10 for 20 years, that's all. It's not the same no more. Yeah, because the 24K came out in 2016. Six Silent came out in 2021. See how I did that? And he worked with Gucci Mane, and he did some projects. With Chance the Rapper's bought and paid for it too. He's the same one that see he from Chicago and he didn't know nothing about R. Kelly stuff. I'm like, cats be lying. Cats be lying. Cats be lying. And these cats are worse than the women are as far as acting like, oh, I don't know nothing. Because if that man tell them don't say nothing, they do whatever they're told to do. People don't always have to. Yeah, it was kind of a tough one. I had to kind of throw that one together because it's very white bread with that. But it was a fun ballpark, fun times, fun times. I'll leave it at that. I just, the history it's more because of that little bitty ballpark. But I appreciate that though. No, you don't have to love Michael Jackson or like him, but you kind of sit there and yeah, they made the World Series. They got their butts dusted too, and that's probably the last time they were good too. But, there's a thing called respect. And sometimes you gotta respect, especially where you're trying to get to. Yeah, I saw that mess and I laughed. I laughed. Nothing worse than 04, Ted. I'm sorry. That was the start of it all. That was '09 almost helps me, but that was horrible. Yeah, I saw that mess. And they got interest in Justin Bieber, and you saw how Bieber got turned out, so where you go. And he has to say that stuff. He has to say that stuff. Industry would not because again, people are told to say the most outlandish stuff, you know. If you don't say what they want you to say, they won't get you no play. And I heard about Sam Smith with his broke George Michael non-having self, who looked more like a lost extra on Color Me Bad than a solo career. Yeah, well, you know why A-Rod went off that year because of Kate Hudson. Or was it Cameron Diaz? One of them. I forgot now. And I said, well, that's the case. Bring her back. I think it was. Yeah, Cameron. I said, well, him and Cameron Diaz was like Rachel Nichols was to Jimmy Butler. Bring them back. Bring them back. Because it was great results. Bring them back. Well, he's old now, too. He ain't going to give us so much for him. Shoot, if I was Pat Riley, I'd try to send him to Sacramento and try to get Malik Monk or something. I'd send him somewhere where I know I could get something. One of them boys out of Houston. That's what the Heat need. That's what they need. Quiet as it's kept. They need some new fast engine and some blood. They need some wheels. To stop doing all that crazy 8 and spotting up for threes, you got to get some easy buckets. Got to get athletic. I don't think they can make that happen because it's too close to the source. You trade them to Sacramento or to Houston. You get some pieces. You need some quick pieces too. And now Bruce Brown is more effective if he's in the second man rotation, not the start. He won't demand no trade. He won't demand no trade for another 2-3 years. What about Mayweather and Tyson? You asking me Floyd Mayweather versus Mike Tyson? Or I don't know what you're saying. Well, I told you that already. Drew just is a better complement defensively. That's what the Bucks were missing. They had no defense stop. And I know Drew looked pretty down last year because the Bucks didn't play defense. And they thought they need more scoring. So they got rid of a guy who could play defense. And, well, I can't compare because they're two different weight classes. It's two different eras. You know. But Mayweather is a great defensive technical fighter. And that says something, especially when everybody's all offense. Floyd Mayweather is kind of like Bill Russell boxing. It's amazing. It's uncanny. And there's no one else like that, whether you like him or not. Tyson was an incredible brute force who had this short fuse, which was amazing for that window. Those 3 or 4 years, he was amazing. But that came and it went. Yeah, Giannis don't look good, but, you know, He went where the action was. You got a guy that's considered one of the top 75 ever, and you can make that move, you're going to think about it. So I got about 5 more minutes before I'm going to call it a night. 5 more minutes. Last call, last call. We've been on for like a couple hours. Had a damp day today, so I kind of laid low, but I definitely wanted to get in after last night's game. I may or may not come through tomorrow night. I probably won't. Probably try to come back Saturday night. Sure to watch the celebrations, unless Dallas kicks they behind. If Dallas whoops that butt by 10 or so, then that series can go 6. Yeah. Yeah, almost that time, so I got a few more minutes. I got 7 more minutes to go. I'll be on for 7 more minutes. So any more questions, feel free. Yeah, I can't compare the weight classes. They're 2 different weight classes. If you're asking me who had a greater impact out of Tyson and Mayweather, the only way I'll answer that now I can answer that. The impact was felt more by Tyson's power and his dominance. That's what people resonate with. But Floyd, incredible technician. So, hope that answered that. 2 different weight classes and styles, but both dominant. But Mayweather's dominance was like longer, and it was incredible. They're both incredible in their own way. And both of them were cash making cows for the machine. Tyson's pay per views was off the chain, and Floyd could fight an elephant and get 20 million. I mean, he's Money Mayweather for a reason. He be going toe to toe with an elephant, and people will pay 40, $50 to see that. So, okay. Well, I don't see nobody typing nothing. I'm gonna give you 1 more minute. And if I don't see nothing, I'm gonna call it a night. Well, I didn't know because I was still saying I had 5 more minutes. If you had anything else if you got anything you want to say in the last couple of minutes, we're glad that you came through. I think it's the first time I've seen you here, or that we've had in-depth communication, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm glad that you came here and presented yourself and had some great questions, great takes, great thoughts. Because we covered sports, music, movies, entertainment, racial. We covered a wide range. So thank you for coming through. Anybody got one last question before I go? Okay. You do, and I do respond back. It's just that you're coming here now, and I'm glad to have you coming on live. I just want to give you a heartfelt thank you for coming live. Appreciate you. I'm always glad because sometimes when I'm going through commenting back on videos, and I just become more jarred, but I appreciate you coming through. Let me just say thank you. I take none of it for granted because I'm always appreciative of everybody come through. I'm a huge fan. Huge fan of what I'm okay, so I find you when you're saying like I'm a huge fan. Oh yeah. I did that video. Oh yeah. No doubt. I take exception to that too. Especially when I consider it people that it's one thing, like you mentioned with Prince, it's one thing if someone was a peer or somebody that had a body of work or had an impact and you'll defend them against that. But when it's somebody that you know, because Beyonce doesn't have Janet Jackson's catalog, but she's bigger. But she doesn't even have Janet's catalog. And if I say that, they get upset when I say it. But Janet with Rhythm Nation Control got more impact than Beyonce's albums. So forget about Henry Michael Jackson conversation. You're not even Janet level. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And that was in an era when she had to compete because she was not just competing as a female artist. She was also trying to get out of her brother's shadow. We don't even mention Whitney. That's the H bomb. You don't even mention that. Mm-mm. Or Aretha. Mm-mm. Or Shaka Khan. Or Diana Ross. You're not seeing none of them. Not seeing Gladys Knight or Donna Summers. So Patti LaBelle's catalog is the only thing I have an issue with. She can sing, but her catalog ain't that deep. If you like her for vocals, it's one thing, but Patti LaBelle, mm, she's got Millie Jackson beat because Millie was too black and she crossed over more. Not Donna Ross because you put the Supreme stuff alone. Donna runs circles around her. And Donna Ross still be putting on a show to this day, and it's classy and it's styling. So I don't Beyonce ain't seeing her. And her biggest idol was Tina Turner. She can't hang with Tina Turner live on stage. So that's it right there. We talking about great songs and catalog. That's what we talking about. We just talking about when I put your songs up and your creativity and your impact, don't embarrass yourself. And that's what happens. When people don't know that 60 years later you still bopping Supreme songs. I don't think in 60 months people gonna be bopping half of Beyonce's catalog. Just saying. He was good. I like his 70s Afro man white suit era the best. Okay. That was my favorite era if I go back to that. People. Love James Ingram, huge fan. Underrated. That vocal run that he would do. And when you think about he truly had unsung career, all that stuff for Quincy Jones. Freddie Jackson was a second fiddle to Luther, but had some classics. And Marvin Gaye was a musical standard. Dug all them cats. Dug all those cats. Because they all had a catalog. Except Peebles wasn't as deep. But he had a good run though. He was soulful for a time. Ingram is vastly underrated. Covered a wide range. Freddie was huge. People just don't know. And Marvin Gaye, yeah, you can make the case. I mean, his impact on male vocalists, amazing. His 4-part harmony, his lead and background vocals, amazing. And I tell this story all the time with Motown 25. Wasn't, no. He ain't underrated. He underrated by people who don't know. People that do know, he nobody say that about no Al Green. He's one of the greatest ever. I always say this about Motown 25. Wasn't for Michael Jackson being on another level with his brothers that night of Motown 25, Marvin Gaye would have stole that night. Because that piano run he did was incredible. He was high as all get out, but he was bad that night. He was on it. No, Al Green is one of the greatest. Ain't no underrated. This is Al Green we're talking about. We didn't say Joe Tex. We said Al Green. Ain't underrated. He's one of the greatest ever. All right. I am going to officially sign off now, and I will be back in 2 nights. Love Bobby Womack. Got his book too. One of the greatest soulfulest vocalists ever from the Sam Cooke School. Most of them were on drugs. Sad to say. Most. And you kind of got to be high because you got to use all this, and all that and connect. This is my cue to leave. Hope you understand, Ted, because Angry Mexican, you came off too late. And I'm getting ready to sign off. And I'm definitely not dealing with no ignorance right now as I get ready to go. Well, they start off with drugs. They don't probably smoking joints and all that. Then, you know, yeah, that is a troll one right there. How you gonna say that about a guy that's getting ready to sweep in the finals who played and a guy who didn't even make the playoffs? That's not even funny. Not not even funny. Appreciate you, Charlene, and always appreciate your commentary. Have a great, safe, blessed night. Thank you so kindly for coming through. Appreciate all the questions and answers with everybody. And I thank you again. And I welcome you back. I'll be back in a couple. Save them for Saturday night because we've been on for 2 hours. I gotta get ready to go. It's my dinner time. And appreciate you, man. Peace. The best. I'm out.